Hello everyone, I'm Go Kyung-ho, a plastic surgeon in Korea. Today, I'm going to talk about small incision lifting. This method was developed a few years ago by an Italian doctor, Capro. After then, some Korean doctors have modified and carried out this method for Asians. In fact, there are still very few doctors around the world who knows and perform this method. Of course, most doctors in Asian countries, including China, do not know this method yet. It's only been a few years since this method was performed, but some doctors have been doing this method a lot and they've had good results. I've been doing a lot of these methods and I've seen good results too. So, I'd like to introduce this method through this video. I briefly explain to you about the small incision lifting. Let's watch this video first.
Puppet wrinkles can be corrected by exerting oblique traction by means of the elastic thread mounted on the atraumatic two-tipped needle. The Jano needle partially emerges at the pre-established point of traction and then returns to emerge from the incision. The elastic threads are knotted and the small incision is sutured. The operation is complete.
Can you understand the procedure? I'll explain it again through some illustrations. After 3 to 4 cm incision on the scalp above the ear, using a special needle and thread, we insert the thread into the area you are trying to pull up and change direction of the thread in that area and get the thread out of the incision sites on the scalp. And then we lift the sagging tissues by pulling the thread upwards. And in that condition, tie and fix the thread to the firm tissue of the scalp. As the sagging tissue is lifted, the skin of the incision sites gets excess, and the remaining skin is cut off, and the incision sites are sutured. The procedure usually takes about 1 hour. The thread is made of silicone or Gore-Tex or suture materials. Actually, considering the principle of this method, it would be better to call this method as string lifting, because the threads pull the sagging tissues and then fix the tissues to the temporal area. After the surgery, the temporal areas are having a little swelling. A day or two after the surgery, the swelling goes away. Right after surgery, the skin has slight dimples in the area that changed the direction of the thread, which can flatten in a week or two. After, you can live your daily life 3 to 5 days after this surgery. The sutures above the ear cannot be seen by hair. We remove the stitches on the 10th day after the surgery. This surgery uses thread, but the lifting principle is completely different from thread lifting. The principle of thread lifting is that we insert the thread with several small thorns into the tissues under the skin and pull up the threads. Then the small thorns pull the surrounding tissues. On the contrary, the principle of small incision lifting is that the thread itself pulls up and holds the tissue directly. So we can pull up the tissue more strongly, and the pulling effect can last longer than thread lifting. The lifting effect of this method is between 70% and 80% of facelift, and the duration of the effect is at least 3 years, and usually 5 years. From now on, the 3 pictures show the change after the small incision lifting. This woman performed small incision lifting with low blepharoplasty and fat graft. You can see a distinct lifting effect after small incision lifting. This woman performed small incision lifting after mandible and zygoma reduction. You can see her face has become smaller and much younger. This woman performed small incision lifting with low blepharoplasty and fat graft. You can see the dripping of her face has improved very much. According to the degree of dripping and skin elasticity, this surgery can get more satisfying results by extending the skin incision downward. The more sagging, the less elasticity of the skin. The longer the incision is extended from the temporal region to the front of the ear. This extended incision line is the same as the incision line of facelift. And after 2 to 3 months after surgery, the scar is getting invisible. Also, using the principle of small incision lifting, we can do facelift surgery easier. In general, facelift needs sufficient dissection of the soft tissues and needs to pull up and hold the separated tissue. That procedure takes a little long time. But using the principle of small incision lifting, the surgery process can be reduced because it's not necessary to dissect the tissue widely, and the tissues can be lifted and fixed easily by the thread. Also, sagging breasts and sagging buttocks can be solved more easily using the principle of small incision lifting. But this surgery is not easy. The doctor needs accurate anatomical knowledge and a lot of experience. The reason is that this surgery needs to advance the thread to the correct depth and needs to change the direction of the thread at the most appropriate position and needs to make the symmetry of both sides while pulling and fixing the thread. I'm always reminding myself of these 3 things while doing this lifting. But sometimes I see the facial asymmetry, or I see stronger or weaker lifting state than ideal lifting state, and then I have to correct. I am going to summarize the small incision lifting that I introduced today. Small incision lifting has better lifting effect than thread lifting, and the lifting effect will last longer. Also, this method is simpler than facelift surgery, and the recovery period is shorter than that of facelift. Lifting effect is 70 to 80% of facelift and lasts about 3 to 5 years. Recovery is so fast that the patient can live a normal life in 2 or 3 days. That's it for today. I'll see you next time. Bye.